Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello, and welcome back to Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani, back with another very special episode. School Spirits is back with season 2 on Paramount Plus. They dropped the first 3 episodes. And wow, you guys, this season is on another level. I could not believe how good it was. If you have not watched this show yet, do yourself a favor, watch it. I love it so much. I think that this might be the best teen drama on TV right now. I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I think it's true. It's so smart. And I feel like they're really getting into their groove this season. So I'm really excited for what's to come. So in this app, I'm going to talk about the first 3 apps that they've dropped. And then they're going to drop the episodes weekly. So I'll be back each week talking about every app and what's going on. I mean, there's so many theories going on with this show right now, so much to discuss. Please send me all your theories. I want to hear what you guys think. You can email me at previouslyonteentv@gmail.com. Who knows? It could get read on the show. I just need to talk about this show with people. And I'm so curious what other people are thinking about it. So do not hesitate. Send me what you're thinking. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about season 2 so far. So much happened in these 3 apps. Overall thoughts. I really liked season 1 of this show. I thought it was a really great mystery. It kind of felt like Breakfast Club for ghosts. But I gotta say, now that we're into season 2, I'm like, season 1 was just okay to me now. I mean, this is just so good. Season 2 is so much darker. Like I said, season 1, I think we still had a lot of more like lighthearted moments. They're all in the circle. We're getting to know these ghosts. They're, adapting to the afterlife a little bit more. There was a lot more humor. It was a little bit funnier. And I feel like with this season, now that we're really in the thick of what's actually going on, season 1 was a lot of trying to throw you off a little bit. We're trying to figure out who murdered Maddie. And then turns out somebody just took over her body. So now we're really trying to uncover that this season. And it is just a lot happening. There is so much more depth to the season. I think we're getting to know these characters a lot more. We get flashbacks. I love that. We need to talk about the music in this season. I need to make a Spotify playlist or something because the music is so good. I hope someone's made one already so I can just follow that one. But I need to know what the music is. It is reminding me of like One Tree Hill's music, the OC's music. It is just that good. What I'm really loving this season, though, is that it's nice having everybody working together. Simon is no longer alone in this. He has a group. He has friends. He has other people helping him, other people to talk to other than Ghost Maddie. So I think that has been a really great part of this season. People are not siloed as much, and people who maybe were in the background a little bit of last season, like Xavier and Claire, they weren't necessarily maybe in the forefront of every ep. Now they really are involved in the storyline. They're in the mystery. They know what's going on. Simon has finally told other people he can see Maddie, which is a relief. It's just nice that he's not alone anymore and that he's not just in scenes with Maddie. So I think that that's really adding to what is making this season so great and adding to that depth and to what's going on in the show. We also have some new characters this season, which I wasn't expecting. There's a lot of characters now in this show. But we have the addition of Quinn, who was in the marching band, and she woke up, and now she's helping the gang solve this mystery, solve what's going on with Janet and Mr. Martin. And she's a Veronica Mars fan, which I loved. I love that little throwback. I love that they added that. So she's really the one kind of at the center trying to solve this. She has her murder board up. I guess it's not a murder board if somebody didn't get murdered, but you know, those murder boards with like the red lining. Quinn is in charge of that. So good for her. And I just love a Veronica Mars reference. You can tell that the people who write and make this show also love teen dramas, which I love. We need people who love teen dramas to write teen dramas. And you can tell that they really love adding some pop culture references, which has been a lot of fun to find throughout the show. We also have another new character, Yuri, who is another ghost. Again, how many students have met their demise at this school? Because there is a lot of ghosts running around. We're not even meeting all the ghosts. So I really want to know if this school has been sued before, if the community has asked questions, because there seem to be a lot of ghosts running around this school if we're still meeting new ones. But Yuri kept to himself. He's in that loop on the pottery wheel. And I feel like there's more to that character, which I'm excited to get into a little bit. I have some theories going on there. But let's talk about what we've learned so far. So we definitely know Janet is in Maddie's body and she took off. And we were like, where's Janet going? She has no cell phone. She died in the 1950s. She doesn't know how to do anything in this age. I mean, can you imagine? She has well, I guess she does have money. So that's at least one thing. But not having a cell phone, as we learned when she was at that rest stop, yikes. Girl does not know how to get an Uber, does not know how to survive today. But we find out that Janet is going to her grandmother's house. So it seems like this is a little bit further away from Split River, not exactly where she lived, but a place that she really enjoyed going to. So we really discover that through flashbacks of Janet, which I am loving these flashbacks. There is so much to Janet, so much to this character. And we discover that Janet and Mr. Martin have been working together. So we don't know exactly what they're working on yet. It could be crossing over. It could be maybe they're working on how to get into someone else's body and then Janet succeeded. We just know that they were working together on something, and we're kind of flipping back and forth on who the villain is. One minute we think it's Janet. You know, I think it was after Ep 1, I was like, okay, Janet is the mastermind here. This girl is in STEM. She loves science. She is a mad scientist who's controlling all this. But then the next minute, it seems like it's Mr. Martin. So I'm leaning more towards Mr. Martin being the big villain, the mastermind, the evil villain character controlling everything. I feel like because he is more of the authority figure with him and Janet, he was Janet's teacher. And I feel like because he's that more authority figure, that's why he's the evil villain. There's a power imbalance there. Like, do I really think that Janet somehow like overrode Mr. Martin this entire time? I just don't think so. I mean, Janet seems smart. Good for her. But I also just don't think that we would make this smart woman, you know, with a little bit of a dark past, dark family, who just wanted to work and STEM. Are we really going to make her the villain? That just doesn't seem right. And Mr. Martin being the villain would stick with the theme of the show that all authority figures cannot be trusted. So I'm still sticking with Mr. Martin. Also, the way that he grabbed Janet after the sock hop dance, that was a little scary. Okay. I did not like him grabbing onto her arm like that. And then he locked her up after that. He locked her up in the boiler room. So I feel like he definitely is the mastermind, even though they're trying to make us believe it's Janet. I'm kind of thinking throughout the rest of the season, I think they're going to have them flip flop back and forth, maybe this entire season, on who is really the villain mastermind. Like the audience, we will be going back and forth this entire time until we find out at the very end. But I'm also curious what happened to Mr. Martin, because in the flashbacks, he seems to be a good guy. He's having Janet's best interests in mind. We see him stand up to Janet's awful dad. And I just want to know what happened to him. I feel like something big happened to the both of them. And I think that it's something that has to do with their death. And that's how they turned out this way. And maybe neither of them are truly a full, like, master villain, but I'm still just leaning towards Mr. Martin. All right, let's talk about what else we learned. The artifacts. Okay, this is big. So if somebody has the object that they died with, it's basically a key to a strange red room where then their death is reenacted in this red room. We know Mr. Martin is hiding these artifacts from the other ghosts. We don't exactly know why. But we see that Rhonda has her artifact. She has her acceptance letter to Berkeley, and she enters the counselor's office. She follows that red light, and then we start to see her death, which, wow, this scene was so well done. The actress who plays Rhonda, wow. I mean, what a moment. I just thought she did such a great job. It's such a dark, dark death. It was hard to watch, honestly. I'm glad that we did not see the whole thing. It does seem like we are going to see everyone's death, which is exciting. I know that sounds morbid, but I feel like that's really going to uncover a lot of answers for us. And it also seems like they need to get over their trauma in order to cross over and reach peace. And that's why I think Mr. Martin has been trying to stop them from doing that for some reason, which we don't know why. But last season, Wally quoted from one of Mr. Martin's journals. Final moments are a source of great despair in the subject. Hypothesis. Reliving final trauma to greatest extent possible may increase thinning and provide access point. Okay, so this is interesting. So it does feel like if you relive that moment, you will cross over. But it seems like Janet has been reliving her moment over and over again. Like he is making her do this. But it doesn't seem like it's to cross over. It seems like it is to do exactly what Janet did, which was to take over another body. So that's where I'm going with my theory of this. But the artifacts really seem to be such a key in all of this. It definitely seems like everyone will get their artifact and relive the death, and we'll learn more about all of their deaths. We really don't know a lot of information about it, exactly what happened. A lot of these are super strange deaths to have, I think. So it will be interesting to actually see them relive it. And I have still not debunked the theory that Mr. Martin might have caused some of these deaths somehow. I just feel like something bigger is going on why so many students are dying at this school. I am most curious, though, about Mr. Martin and Janet's death. It feels like her dad, Janet's dad, might be tied into this somehow, maybe. I'm just thinking that there's more to the story there. We really don't know much about their death. Like a fire started in the chemistry lab. They were the only two who died. I just think that we learned so much about Janet's family in these three eps. We learned that her dad did not support her science ambitions. He just wanted her to get married, have kids. He seems abusive. He seems awful, terrible. And I'm just wondering if this fire that happened in the chemistry lab, like somehow, not like the dad caused it, but just somehow it connects. The dad somehow connects to this story. Another thing we learned is it does seem like Janet is a bit of a different type of ghost. The pot that she made with Yuri stayed broken after Wally dropped it, and normally it would reset. Because if one of the ghosts interacts with something in the school, it just resets. And her pot did not reset. So this is another question that we have. How is she a bit of a different ghost? My guess is that she has relived her death so many times. Mr. Martin has made her relive this, relive this, relive this. She's broken that barrier more. And that's how she's able to interact with things more in the real world. That's my guess. Okay, we got to talk about the sock hop that they had for Janet's birthday because this was a fun moment this season. I love seeing all these characters dressed up like Grease. Give us more moments like this. I love when they show us how these ghosts get creative in the school. I thought it was funny too that they were saying the school was empty because it was COVID. So this was a way to keep them entertained during that time as well, since they, couldn't people watch or anything. So just this event, seeing them all dressed up was really fun, especially for a dark couple episodes. I feel like we needed an event like this. We also learned a lot at this event. Janet wants to give the group the objects, their artifacts that they had with them when they died, and Mr. Martin stops her and they fight. And at one point, Janet says, "You don't know what I'm capable of." She says this multiple times, which is interesting. I feel like we need to remember that. But as Rhonda is telling the story, because she saw them fight, Rhonda reveals that the power was always Mr. Martin's and that he was the one who was silencing Janet. And then after this event, Mr. Martin banished Janet. And it's just confusing on why he doesn't want to give the group the objects. Is it so he can keep performing experiments? Is he trying to build this like super ghost tribe or like the Avengers or something? I'm just so curious why he needs everybody involved in this and not just him and Janet. And I don't know if it's just so he can do experiments on them, but there's something about that that is really, really odd. We need to find out more. I mean, Thursdays cannot come soon enough. Another big thing we need to talk about is Xavier. Okay, we see him in the waiting room, putting that in quotes, at the end of episode 1 when he's flatlining. So it appears he's maybe in some kind of like purgatory that's in the hospital. The ghosts are saying, "Are you staying?" And then he wakes up. Okay, this scene was very cool, by the way. I loved how they kind of set up the hospital waiting room to be this like 1960s thing. And at first, you're so confused on what's going to happen. I thought Xavier was going to die. I thought we were saying goodbye to Xavier, and Xavier was going to become a ghost, and then he was going to meet the other ghosts and Maddie and not be a part of Simon's group anymore, be a part of Maddie's group. But he survived. It seems like something like thinned in his body or something. Like he can now like sense ghosts or something. His body is maybe like left open. I don't know. Maybe a ghost is going to go in there and snatch his body too. Or maybe he will see Maddie eventually. I don't know. It just seems like something happened when he flatlined. And I don't think that it's just that they did that just so Xavier believes Simon that Maddie's a ghost. I think that it has to lead to something bigger. The scene where he is just staring directly kind of at Maddie, I just think there's something more there. So it will be interesting to see where that goes. Okay, and then one other thing we got to talk about wow, they are really coupling everybody up at this point at the end of season 3. They are leading to a lot of romances. We have Claire and Nicole's brother potentially. It seems like something could happen there. I don't know though. He's in college. It feels like that could just die out. Like we've already used the need for his character. They're really hinting at Xavier and Nicole. That's interesting. I didn't really see that coming. I don't necessarily need them to get together. I'm fine with like some of these people just being friends. I don't think we need all these romantic entanglements in this show where we have bigger problems with Mr. Martin and Janet. That's really what I want to know. And that's coming from me, who I love a romance in one of these. I am loving Maddie and Wally. How are we feeling about their relationship so far this season? It's definitely more so on the back burner. There is just so much going on. It's just kind of hard, I feel like, to fit that storyline in. It seemed a little bit more fun to me last season, where it was like Wally was helping Maddie acclimate to being dead. But now that we know she's not dead, I feel like she's just in a stressful state right now. But I would love to see a little bit more of their romance together. Let them have a little bit of fun. I feel like we need to have fun at some point this season. I hope it's not all just like chasing after Janet. But they have had a couple of sweet romantic moments so far in the first couple eps, which, you gotta love it. I'm enjoying it. I don't hate it. I don't want them to take it away. All right, let's get into the good stuff. I have been scouring the Reddit boards. I have been looking at everyone's series, and these are the big ones that I've seen online so far. So I have seen a lot of theories that Maddie is going to just give her body to Janet. I personally do not agree with this theory at all. I mean, I get that Maddie likes her new ghost friends and has something going on with Wally, but I don't think that's enough to want to keep her in the afterlife and just give up on living and everything. And on her friends, on her mom. We see her every episode doing her best to try to get her body back. I just feel like it's not really in her character to just completely give this up. This is her number one thing. They've made it clear she desperately wants to live. She had big dreams at one point. She wants to go to college. She wants to get out of that town. She has a life to live. So I don't think she's just going to give up and let Janet go to college and live her science life and be the some girl she wants to be. I just don't think that Maddie would do that. There's also a lot of theories that Mr. Martin is in someone else's body, which is interesting. I saw one theory on Reddit that he's in Yuri's body because Yuri let everyone believe he didn't speak English and maybe he really couldn't. And that's why he's able to speak to them now and is speaking to them. And also, Yuri spoke to Janet, which just feels kind of odd. It seems like nobody really spoke to Yuri. So I could see that being an option. There's other people who think maybe it's Quinn, since that's also a new character. I definitely think that there has to be a bigger purpose for the new characters than to just help the gang solve this mystery. And they both seem a little suspicious. So we will see. I've also seen the theory that Mr. Martin is in Mr. Anderson's body, which out of all the bodies, I do think Mr. Anderson is the most likely body for Mr. Martin to be in. Because what is the point of having Mr. Anderson back if there is not something bigger for him in this story? I don't think that it's just supposed to be like him helping Maddie's mom or maybe starting up a romance with her. We also see Mr. Martin outside Mr. Anderson's room a lot. He runs in there at one point, and then we don't see him in the room, which is weird because I don't think that that's where he died. So is he able to use all the artifacts? We don't really know, but I could see Mr. Martin being in Mr. Anderson. Also, I feel like a teacher would go into another teacher's body instead of like a student's body or a younger person's body. I could see that like teacher to teacher authority figure parallel there. I do hope though that Mr. Martin is in someone else's body because that would be fun. I like that theory. And then I have a theory. I've been alluding to this. But I think that Mr. Martin and Janet have been working on a way to get in someone else's body and live again, like exactly what Janet is doing. And I think they don't want to cross over to the other side because they both did something horrible. I think Janet killed her dad and they're worried on where they'll end up if they cross over. So they're trying to figure out another way. So I don't know what you guys think about that theory, but I just have it in my head that I think at some point Janet killed her dad, maybe accidentally or something like that. And maybe Mr. Martin was there. And then they somehow had to set this fire at the school, or I think that their death then has to do with this. And I think that there is something where they are scared to actually cross over to another side, scared of what might meet them there or something. And I don't know, maybe they won't go on this like hell journey or something. The show won't go on that journey. But I will say the mascot for the school is the Devils. So that's a little interesting, in my opinion. And I just think if their end goal was to cross over, wouldn't they have done that already? It seems like they're really experimenting and have been reliving their deaths many times. This has to be something bigger than just moving on. And I also think Janet killed her dad because she keeps saying, "You don't know what I'm capable of," meaning she's done something bad. And maybe Mr. Martin doesn't even know this, actually. We don't know. I still just don't think she's the mastermind, though. I think she's maybe done some bad things, but who knows? Maybe there's going to be another evil mastermind who will come out of all this. And maybe it's still Janet's dad. Okay, also in this scene though, in her house, she's in her old house and she sees her dad for a second out in the yard and she gets terrified. So I wonder if she was worried that that was like his ghost or something. Like she got so scared. And I don't think it was just because of the scenes that we saw. I think that the dad storyline is really going to lead somewhere, people. All right. And then the ending, we have Janet, who is still in Maddie's body, gets away from the gang at the frat party, and then finds Maddie's mom. And this was such a good moment. She just comes out of the shadows and says, "Hi, Mom." The way I shrieked, like, "Don't believe her. That is not your daughter." It was such a good reunion scene, though. The actress who plays Maddie's mom did such a good job. Wow. I did not anticipate Janet doing that. Things are moving in this show so quickly. Like, we are really getting somewhere. I have no idea what happens from here, honestly, because I was not expecting that. I am glad, though, that we do not have Janet on the run all season. And I do think Janet living in Maddie's house, like living in her room, this will give Simon and the gang better access to her. I'm wondering if Janet is trying to get better access to the ghost gang or something, maybe to explain things to them. Maybe she's gonna, sit Wally and the gang down and really explain what happened. I don't know. But I was just shocked that she's not running anymore. And we're really getting somewhere. We're moving. I cannot wait to see what else happens. I will be seated every Thursday, ready for this show. I hope you guys are loving it as much as I am. Again, please send me your thoughts, your theories, notes. If you agree with me or not, you can email me at previouslyonteenTV@gmail.com. And be sure to follow me on social, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, at @previouslyon_teentv. Thanks for listening.